Shaping Strategy, the APR Journey, is Season 2 of the INSPRA podcast, produced by the National School Public Relations Association in partnership with INSPRA's Accreditation Committee. Released during APR Month in 2026, this limited series explores every stage of the APR journey, from what to consider before starting to how accreditation shapes professional practice and what it reveals about growth, strategy, and the profession. I'm your host, Christina Baumgartner, APR. On today's episode, Teamwork Makes the Dream Work, we are going to learn more about the INSPRA APR cohort. Melissa McConnell brings nearly 3 decades of experience in public education to her role as Manager of Professional Development and Member Engagement for INSPRA. Before joining the INSPRA staff in 2022, she spent 21 years as a library media coordinator and technology integration specialist, followed by 7 years as a school communications specialist. She draws on those experiences daily to design professional learning opportunities that are practical, strategic, and immediately applicable for school communicators. Terry McHugh, the Executive Director of Community Relations for Schaumburg School District 54 in Illinois, received her APR in 2008. She is the Regional Vice President of the North Central Region on the INSPRA Board, and in that role, also serves as the Board Representative to INSPRA's APR Committee. In addition, she served for many years as the APR Chair for the Illinois chapter of INSPRA. Terry has been widely recognized at the state and national levels, receiving Golden Achievement Awards for Strategic Public Relations from both the Illinois chapter as well as the National School Public Relations Association. In 2011, she received the Illinois Distinguished School Communicator Award. Let's talk to Terry and Melissa. Hi, Melissa and Terry. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the podcast.
Thanks, Christina. Great to be here.
Let's jump right into it because I know that the INSPRA APR cohort is something that is still relatively new in terms of some of our members understanding what it is. And I know it's something that you're both very passionate about. So can we start off with just what is the cohort? Who is it for? Does it obligate you to anything? What is the structure? What does it look like? Melissa, maybe I'll kick this one to you first.
Sure. I get to sit in a really interesting spot with the APR cohort because I'm helping design the experience and supporting participants along the way. So I get to see that journey from the first, okay, what is this? Should I do this question? All the way through them, maybe building a plan, thinking through a campaign idea, and in general, like really gaining confidence in how they approach their work. The APR cohort is something we offer 3 times a year. It's open to all members to either explore what accreditation is, or if they're well on their way and they just need a little extra support to push through to the end. But we really just want them not to have to figure all of this out on their own. The APR process can seem very daunting and overwhelming when you're either learning about it or in the thick of it. So this is, again, what NSPRA is known for, is getting people together who do what you do, talk about it, and decide how to move forward. Ultimately, what I think has been really powerful in all of the cohorts that we have, even for those participants who aren't sure they're going to pursue accreditation right away, just by being a participant in the cohort, they're really building a strong foundation in strategic communication, and that will show up in their work immediately. We've had members take the cohort 2 and 3 times because they realized after the first one, I'm not ready. Or the second time, it's like, no, this is not a good time in my life to dedicate to this. But they always come back saying they know that this is the right path. It's just, when is it the right time for them?
So Terry, you earned your APR before this cohort existed, and now you've had the opportunity to experience the cohort as an APR. What do you think makes this cohort different than trying to do this process on your own?
Yeah, first let me say I'm jealous. I wish there was an NSPRA APR cohort when I was getting my APR in 2008. I did have the opportunity to participate in an online course at the time, but that course didn't have the same level of engagement that I see in the cohort. So now as an APR who pops into these cohort sessions, when I'm in the breakout rooms, I hear participants supporting each other, receiving support from the APRs in the room. Melissa also gives them homework after each session, which of course this isn't school. I don't think she's checking to make sure they're completing their homework or giving them grades, but It definitely would have helped me pace myself during the process. Did you get to participate in the cohort, Christina? When did you get your APR?
I did not. I earned my APR in 2019. And so I was able to participate in an online study program that existed at the time through a different organization. It was not the same at all as this cohort. And I also wish this cohort had existed because I've also seen that it is just such a different feel than what we had previous to this.
Yeah, and at the time in my state, I'm from Illinois, um, we didn't have a lot of people that had their APRs, right? It was one person before me. And so I actually created a mini cohort of myself, just asking people in our state chapter, did anyone else interested in doing the APR? Let's tackle this together. But we lack the guidance of someone like Melissa McConnell to structure that up, and we just kind of tackled it on our own, taking turns reading different chapters. Um, the other benefit, I'm just going to keep talking here. The other benefit is the mentors. So Melissa had mentioned that you're building a foundation of knowledge by participating in the cohort, but you're also building so many connections. She has a lot of APRs who are willing to jump into these cohorts. So each time you're in a session, you might be meeting someone new. And every time in the chat, I see APRs like myself typing in their cell phone numbers or their emails, offering people the opportunity to connect outside of the room. So you're building those group of colleagues of people who can support you.
I think that's something that is so valuable about the cohort. And one of the things that I've loved is these breakout rooms that happen during every session of the cohort. I think it's a great opportunity for connections to be made. And Melissa, I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit more about those breakout rooms. What do they look like? Is it people being forced into a breakout room? Is it sort of a choose your own adventure breakout room? What happens in these rooms?
What I'm really excited about is Terry is the NSPRA board liaison on the accreditation committee, and I worked with the accreditation committee. We'd had the cohort going for about 3 years, and it really needed a refresh. What I had observed as kind of the guide on the side throughout the process is people really enjoyed those conversations with people who had their accreditation. Whereas the format we had, it gave a little bit of time, but it didn't leave a lot. And so we really wanted to restructure it and give people a significant amount of time to actually have some deep conversations with people who are maybe going through the process, but also with someone who's been through the process. And so I group them as they come on. So I kind of do it, scramble it while the person is the facilitator is speaking, because I want to see how many people are in the room and get an idea. But I design it where I assign an APR to a different breakout room, but the participants get to choose the room they go into. And we kind of have 3 different categories. The first one is, I really don't know what's going on. I'm here to learn more. The second one is, I have a campaign idea, which means I may have been through this before, or I'm starting the process. Now, what do I do? And then our last one is, I'm well on my way. Maybe they've submitted their application, they've done their questionnaire, and maybe they've even, they're getting ready for their panel presentation. So they're ready for those kind of stage 3 conversations. And with the people on the committee that I worked with to redesign these, we give a series of pitch questions and supportive questions to the accreditation person who's accredited to facilitate discussion in the room. So it might be, let's talk through the path. Let's talk about where you get tactics and strategy mixed up. Let's talk about where you get goals and objectives mixed up, and just kind of thinking through that process, because that's what the whole process is about in earning accreditation, is thinking through all of the stages that you want to be successful and be more strategic. And so it really gets them thinking about it out loud, which I think really helps them in the process as a whole. Even though I don't go into the discussion room, because there are always people who come in late, so I sit back in the main room and coordinate people where they need to go. I love hearing back. I try to have the people who are facilitating the APRs share a little bit. What did you notice in your group? So then everyone can hear it. And I love to hear those ideas, oh, these people are well on their way. They give them that encouragement, like Terry referenced, to just say, you're going to do great. These are great things I'm noticing. Or I get ideas like, ooh, you know what? We might need to add something about that in the next module because I'm hearing people are still struggling with this idea. So again, it comes back to that teaching moment. You really have to be able to pivot and change based on what your students are telling you, if that makes sense.
And I love that because you're actually applying RPI to the cohort.
So I get the pleasure of being in the breakout rooms. What's interesting to me is that everyone's at a different place in their APR journey. So we have new to PR individuals who haven't even worked 5 years in the field, but they're committed to becoming strategic communications professionals, and they're hopefully learning so much from participating in the cohort. They're not even planning on getting their APR this year or maybe not next year, but they want to start working toward that goal. And then we have these seasoned professionals who've probably proven themselves time and time again through strategic communication plans, but they just never took the time to become accredited. So being in the room together, and then in addition, we have people who are just starting the APR process. And on the other end of the spectrum, we had one individual who achieved his APR during the winter cohort, and still attended the final session because he was ready to move into that mentor role, and start helping others through the process. So it's really interesting to talk through like where people are. And again, I think people learn just as much from each other as from the APR mentors in the room.
Is there a certain type of shift that you're seeing happen for people as they're participating in the cohort in terms of, either a change in the way that they're thinking or a change in the way that they're viewing the APR process or the way that they're viewing their work? Have you seen any of these types of moments for people?
I think there's a lot of aha moments. For me, the key to a successful APR campaign, a panel is a good campaign, right? So I think participants appreciate the opportunity to talk through what they're thinking about for their campaign and get feedback on the idea before they head too far down that path. Melissa mentioned one APR in the room, but she has so many volunteers that she usually has two APRs in the breakout room. So really, it's like two mentors in the room. And unfortunately, on more than one occasion during a discussion, people realized that what they thought were their goals and objectives were actually more like strategies and tactics. We talk about objectives being SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So this allows them to pivot. Sometimes it leads to people selecting a new plan for their panel, but often through the conversation, they can determine that like what truly was their focus of this plan and move back to that bigger picture and set some objectives so that they are successful with their panel.
That's great. Melissa, are there any shifts or any things that you've noticed from, as you called it, your position on the sideline, getting to sort of see everything, including the behind the scenes?
And to echo what Terry said, I think that it's the aha moment. I think some people think that they have to be living the plan or the campaign in the moment, that it's something I have to do along the way while I'm doing my APR, not recognizing, hey, it could be something that you did a year ago. As long as you have all of the research and those pieces of the puzzle and all of the information you need, you can use that. People think if they're selecting a bond or a referendum for their campaign, that it has to be successful. You have to have passed. No, that's not the case. It's about the learning process that you went through when you did it that I think has been really a great clue for people. What I love is it really makes me want to continue to collect the campaign ideas that our current people with accreditation have had so we can continue that bank of ideas so they think, oh, I never thought I could do a campaign about this. That I think that really helps them. I think sometimes identifying your campaign can be overwhelming. And so the more we can give them suggestions about what's worked, pointing them toward NSPRA Gold Medallion Award recipients, of course, is always a great place to start, because if they can actually see that plan written out, they realize, oh, I've done that. I can do this. I think that takes away that imposter syndrome. I think a lot of people tend to feel that they think it's unattainable. what I've loved about the process is they're realizing that it's also not competitive. You're not competing against other people. That those with accreditation, I've noticed that yes, we're all under this big tent, but we want to make the tent bigger, and so that you all are always so encouraging, wanting to bring everyone else in, that you're willing to maybe give them hard truths on occasion, but also giving them all the support they would ever need. So I love that on both sides, it's everybody wanting to be encouraging to help them along the way.
And I think that's something that I've heard over the years so many times is that APRs are a group of people that just want the group to keep getting bigger. And I think that's something you don't see in every industry. And it's one of the really great things about working in PR and school PR in particular is that everybody just wants everybody to be better. And they just want to help each other grow, which is, I think, a really wonderful aspect of our community. I'm
Right.
curious because we've talked about these calls that happen every other week during the cohort. Is that what it's limited to? Are these calls? Are there any other aspects of the cohort program that the participants have access to? Is there other resources that are provided other than just calls?
Absolutely. We enroll all of the participants in our learning management system, which, if you've ever been a recent college student, or most of you working in a school district, I bet your middle and high school students are involved in a learning management system of some sort. So they're enrolled in there, and we keep all of the recordings because we know you have a full-time job. So to be able to take the time out every 2 weeks to do it, it may not be that you can attend that day. We keep copies of the slide decks. We also do a ton of supportive materials. So we pull all of the information. Maybe it's a copy of the study guide, a copy of a sample questionnaire, copies of gold medallion projects like I talked about. Anything that will supplement the content from that specific cohort is found in the module itself on the learning management system. It's a great place to go and get that validation support, questions answered. And Terry mentioned that I assign homework, and I always say I put it in air quotes because, again, they have full-time jobs. They're mostly just reflection questions. Hey, between now and then, think about this. Why are you wanting to pursue it? Think about this. Is there a time that you may want to review what a goal and objective is and where you get tripped up? Or we really want to bring it back to that. But the online module is one piece. I also take the entire list of registrants and I sort them by region of NSPRA. And then the members of the accreditation committee are encouraged to, hey, reach out to the people in your region, give them a welcome to the cohort. We're loving that you're, pursuing this, and just it's another touch point for people to know, hey, you're not in this process alone. Here's someone who's already a cheerleader behind you along the way. And then we touched on earlier a little bit about mentors. In one of the modules specifically, one of the homework assignments is let's find you a mentor. If you think you're far enough along in the process and you're ready to take the plunge, let's connect you with a mentor. NSPRA has an online tool called Mentor Match. Not all of our people who have accreditation are in Mentor Match, so I always say I can be your behind the scenes matchmaker. And so they just send me their name. I do a little research about the member who's in the cohort. I, find out, well, one, what time zone you're in. That can make logistics easier. Let's look up your district. How big is your district? Are you a member of a team? Are you a solo shop? And then I look at maybe some of the big initiatives in your district. Then I look for an APR who maybe has similar qualities. Maybe someone from the same state, maybe someone with a district the same size, maybe someone who has been in the career longer. Or I try to find those different touch points so that'll make that conversation a little more enriching for the person that they're partnered with. And I really think that that's been valuable. It's been really exciting to make those matches. And especially when you get that later email from UAB saying, hey, this person has passed their exam. So it's really exciting to see it go through the process for those who get that far along.
And I think that's the second part to answer your question, Christina, is the cohort's kind of what you make of it. So outside of those weekly sessions, like, are you connecting with the people that you met in the room, whether they're the participants in the cohort or the APRs who are dropping their email and cell phone numbers in the chat? Like, it's up to you. You have these people willing to give back to you, and I 100% agree with you that as especially school APR professionals, we are so excited when somebody else gets their APR. It's a big group that we just want to invite other people into. So if you're on this journey, like, connect with those people because they really do want to take the time to support you.
So if somebody signs up for the cohort, Does that mean that they are committing themselves to the APR process?
No. I mean, simple answer, no. They could do the cohort just to increase their knowledge of strategic communications. I talked originally how I do think there's people that are on the call just trying to figure out, is this APR a journey that I want to go on? Or I know I want to get it someday. I'm not ready for that yet, but why not start learning more about it? Um, so I think this free resource that NSPRA offers
Yes.
to its members is just a really valuable professional development tool. And as communicators, we don't always have that same level of professional development in our district, right? Our districts provide these huge professional development sessions for all of our teachers or people who have the same type of education background, but they aren't going to provide it for the school district that has the one communications professional on staff or even a small staff. So this is an opportunity to go out and get that for yourself.
I think that's always a fear that people have when they sign up for something is, well, if I say that I'm going to do this cohort, that means that I have to do the APR. So it's nice to know that it's an opportunity for people to maybe learn more about the process without having to actually submit that application and commit to the process. And for those listeners who maybe are not yet INSPRA members, although we always hope that people are joining INSPRA and making that commitment to their own professional growth in that way, is this available for people who are outside of school PR? Is this available for people who maybe are not yet members of INSPRA?
It is. We just started that with our winter cohort where we opened up this to anyone. It can be people who are in school PR but not members of NSPRA. It can be people from other industries. We had several in the winter cohort who were actually from the health communications, so they were in healthcare or other industries like that became participants. Again, it's just that validation of wanting to become a better communicator. And we're like, this is good content. Why wouldn't we make it available to everyone? Heck, you get 7 modules, an hour long, in addition to the learning management system access for $99. I mean, you can't beat that. Again, it's, as Terry mentioned, it's professional development. It's investing in your professional growth. So that kind of spans every industry. And we really, while the content is designed for school communicators, it's not exclusive. So we make sure that it's overall about being a good practitioner. We just toss in probably more school communicator examples, but it would still be applicable across the board to people no matter what industry they're with.
That's great. I think that's an amazing resource to be able to have available for folks across the board. If there are people listening to this that are on the fence, whether it's they're not sure if they should sign up for the cohort or they're not sure about the APR, maybe it's something they're just learning about and they're still trying to figure out if this is something that they should look into, what would you say to those folks?
This is the perfect thing for you. If you're wondering what the APR is more about, or you're considering whether it's for you, join the cohort. Come to the first session, and I think that you'll be hooked. You'll find out from these sessions, those will answer the questions that you have. And then again, if you're like, I'm not quite there yet, I'm not sure I have a plan, you now have the background knowledge so that the next time something comes up in your district, you can present a strategic plan based on the knowledge you received from this cohort. Getting my APR wasn't just to have the 3 initials at the end of my name. I've become a better professional for my school district. They have benefited from me getting this as much as I feel like I've benefited myself. So there's no reason not to sign up. And I know for a lot of us, time is an issue. So sometimes people don't make every cohort. There's no penalty for that. If you have to skip a session, it's recorded. You'll have an opportunity to receive that information. And you're always welcome, as Melissa said, to do it more than once. I think my experience in getting my APR wasn't unique. There's still a lot of states that don't have an APR chair in their chapter or don't have that many individuals in their chapter who even have their APR. That's why NSPRA started this cohort. Even though I'm on the committee, I can't take any credit for starting the cohort, but shout out to the APR committee who did start it. They created it so people could connect with others going through the same process and others who've gone before them. So frankly, it's silly not to take advantage of it.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's even if you're already seen as a strategic advisor in your district or in the work that you do, being able to can elevate your leadership skills can happen just by participating in this cohort. It can give you the confidence to have those leadership conversations that you may have been struggling with. But again, it's about your professional growth. So why wouldn't you want to continue on that journey, whether it ultimately culminates in accreditation, which is what the goal is, but it's not the requirement? Why wouldn't you do that? It's about investing in yourself and improving on what you already do. It's getting validation for the path that you're on and making sure you're on the right track. It's best practice. This is what's best practice in school communications and in public relations. So you can really, by participating in the cohort, you can really say that, yes, I did this, and now I'm a better practitioner because of it.
And I am going to admit that while we don't track, when people join the cohort, NSPRA isn't like, we hope these people are completing their APR panel this year. If I'm in a panel or if I'm in a session with you and I know you, I am going to keep gently nudging you. If I recognize your name, I'm going to be reaching out again in a gentle manner and be checking in. Where are you at? How can I help? Because
I love that.
As Christina said, we all are like, come join this group, be a part of the APR group with us.
I love that. And thank you both for coming on here today to share some more information about the cohort with our listeners. Are there any closing thoughts or words that you would like to leave our listeners with?
We just started our most recent cohort last week. There's still time to sign up if you want to get involved and get caught up. You can, of course, visit our website. You can message me. There are tons of ways to find out about it, but we'd love to have you join us.
Great.
Ditto that. We'll see you there.
Well, we hope to see many of our listeners joining not only the spring cohort, if they hear this in time, but future cohorts as well. So thank you both for joining us today to talk a little bit more about this cohort opportunity.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
Shaping Strategy, the APR Journey, is a limited series podcast from the National School Public Relations Association, produced in partnership with NSPRA's Accreditation Committee. Be sure to visit nspra.org for more information about accreditation in public relations, membership information, professional development resources, and more.